Hi, welcome to the channel. My name's Mike and this is The Scout, IH Scout 369. Today we're going to turn this into this. So today we're making a leather wallet. We're going to go through the process of cutting out the leather, gluing it, sewing it, stamping it, finishing it. We're going to go through everything from start to finish. It's all handcrafted, and I'm just going to kind of take you guys along for the ride. So right here, I'm using the template as just kind of a guide to give me an idea of how big of a piece I need to cut out. I'm trying to cut them out as close to the size of the guide that I can, but leaving me a little bit of space. This just makes it so I'm not using the entire yard of leather to try and move around to get the finer detailed cuts. So I got all the pieces cut out. Now what I'm going to do is go in and make those finer detailed cuts and actually cut right along the guide. Make sure I get as close to the guide as I possibly can so that everything's going to fit in the end. Take a little bit off at a time if you're new to this. You can always take more off, but you cannot put more leather back on. So you can see it's a lot easier to make these type of cuts with smaller pieces instead of trying to use that entire yard of leather. Use this smaller piece. I can move it around. I can move my knife around easier, cut the corners a lot sharper, and make sure I get right next to that guide. Let's finish up cutting these pieces out. It's kind of tidy up the edges a little bit. I'm just taking that sandpaper, it's like 400 grit, and I'm really just smoothing out some of the cuts that I made. This is not a final sanding or anything. This is just so that I can line up the pieces a little bit better and get a better idea of how they're all going to fit together smoothly. I'm just going to quickly throw an edge dressing on the edges that are in the middle of the wallet that I'm not going to be able to get to later. We're going to figure out where we need to put the stamp for the Scout 2. This is 10 centimeters. This one's 10.5. I like the size of this. I think it fits well in here. So we're going to make 4.5 centimeters. So 45 millimeters by, what's that, 12 millimeters. Yeah, I think that'll fit good on here. We'll do it that size on here. I'm just going to quickly give you a 20-second rundown of, I use Fusion 360 for my leather stamps. This is about 20 minutes worth of work. Then it's also maybe 30 or 40 minutes of actually printing the 3D printed stamp. All right, the 3D print is done. I got a test piece of leather. We're gonna do that first. I'm just out here on the press. I don't use the press I have in my office. It just doesn't give as much pressure, obviously. So I use my Harbor Freight 20 ton. Obviously I don't go to 20 tons, but I'll set you guys up. All right, so we just got a piece of leather, a little damp. Doesn't need to be too wet. And that's really all I do. I just do as tight as I can get it with my hand. And that's it. Usually that's enough. Let's see. That is actually a pretty pretty decent stamp. I think that looks pretty good. It's kind of hard to see. We'll do another test one right above it. Might add just a little bit more pressure this time. That is probably all we need. We'll let it sit for just a second. Then that should be good. Our stamp is holding up. Just a little bit of water from there. Oh yeah, that looks amazing. Okay. All right, we got our piece of leather we're going to use for the wallet, and we're just going to eyeball this. And we're going to add just the one extra pump. Then we're going to let it sit here for just a second. Really get that press in. Okay, this is make or break time. Let's see how it looked. Oh yeah, look at that. That looks great. So now we'll take this. We got to let it dry. You cannot. We can't glue it. The back of it, the edges are a little bit wet, so you can't glue it while it's wet. You can't punch it while it's wet. So we're gonna go let it dry. Because we didn't use very much water, it's not gonna take very long to dry. Maybe half an hour or so. But we'll let that set up, let that dry, and we'll get back to. We gotta glue the edges. We gotta punch it, and then we gotta sew it. And we're gonna do all that by hand. We got our Scout stamped on there. It's dry. It is still the same size, which is perfect. We didn't squish anything out. Looks like it works. So you can see it's kind of squished through there, which is fine. This is going to be the back side of this wallet. This is going to kind of look like this. With this, we're going to do a black edge trim on it. I did get a little black on there, but that's fine because it's going to be hidden by this, like this on here. Our next step is to glue this piece down, and so now I'm just lining everything up with the templates and using my scribe. I misplaced my awl, so I'm using a little pen scribe tool. It's not a pen, it's just got a sharp end on it. But just making some little marks in the leather so I know where to line up the pieces and put the glue, because we don't need to put glue around this entire piece. In fact, we don't want to. We want to leave a little bit of it open so that it can move a little bit. Lined up before I put a final press on everything, smash it down, make sure the glue's adhered to both sides. And now I'm going to grab the punch and just mark the holes through the template so I make sure they're all in the same spot. And then I'm going to use my my 5-pin punch and get those pin or punches all the way through. So I got the wax thread fed through the eye of the needle. Now what I'm going to do is secure it to the needle so that when I'm sewing the leather, the thread doesn't come out of the needle. So what I do is I just kind of find the middle of the thread, poke the needle through. I do that twice, and then slide it back up over the needle, and it really locks that thread onto the needle, and it's not going to come off. So now I'm just going to saddle stitch the bottom of the inner pocket, and this is just because I'm not going to be able to get to this once I sew on the outer pocket and get the wallet put together. The camera cut out a little bit, but all I did was basically just kind of rough up the leather a little bit and then glue on that front panel. And now I'm going to add some glue to the back panel around 3 edges because we're going to leave that top edge open so you can put some dollar bills or something in there. But we're putting glue on both sides, laying it down, make sure all the edges line up. I did add just maybe a little bit too much glue, so you can see me wiping that off right here. But it comes off pretty easily. Didn't leave any residue or anything on there. We're just going to press that down, make sure all the glue's cleaned up. Alright, I let the glue dry. There is just a little bit of residual glue right here on the edge, but that peeled off pretty easily and didn't leave anything behind. You can't even tell. So the wall looks pretty good right now. I'm going to take the scribe and just scribe a line about 1/8 of an inch in from the edge. And it's just scribing the line. It's not removing any leather or anything like that. This is just going to give me an idea, or a straight line actually, of where I need to run the punch. Now that we're done punching all our holes, we're going to start our saddle stitch. And again, it's just a basic saddle stitch. I don't have a leatherworking vise, or I don't know what you call it, like a saddle vise or something. I don't have one of those. So I just put a little piece of leather between a spring clamp, and it works really well for small items like this wallet. It works really well. If I was doing anything larger, I don't think it would work that well. But the saddle stitch, if you want to learn how to do it, there's tons of great tutorials online on how to do it. I'm definitely not a pro at it. This whole thing, from start to finish for the stitching, probably took maybe 20 or 30 minutes. I do a quick, simple back stitch, make sure both edges of the thread are on the same side, cut it short, and then burn it. All right, we got it all hand stitched. You can see, I think it looks pretty good. Definitely need a lot more practice, but looks pretty good. We're gonna use some black edge coat, go around the edges. We'll make sure it's open inside. So I'm adding this edge coat. I don't like leaving just an open edge, and I'm not very good at burnishing the edges, so that's why I like using this black edge coat. We got around to just finally edge coating and finishing the wallet. I think it looks pretty good. The only thing, and the template was designed this way, so you can kind of see. Here's the template, if you can see it. Oh, here we go. So it sits like this, right, in the wallet, and you guys can probably see what I'm talking about already. But as you put your card in, it goes down, and then you can't really grab it out. You really have to get down in there and pull it out. So what I'm thinking is just right here in the middle, just kind of cutting down on this other, on my 800 wallet that I did a big swoop so that when the card goes in, it's a lot easier to grab, right? When you're going to get your card out of your wallet, super easy to pull out. I'm thinking maybe I'll do something similar to that and just kind of cut this here, and then also for this upper one, or this second card spot, because the card fits in there perfect, but again, it's perfect, so it just doesn't, there's not a spot to grab. So that's what we're gonna do right now. I just took one of my 3D printing spools and kind of used it as a guide. It gave me a real nice even radius on there. And then I used an old metal credit card that I had. They gave me a pretty good backing so that I didn't cut through the other side of the leather. All right, you've made it this far in the video. We are basically done with the wallet. I got the cutouts for the new cards, but this wallet I am not going to use. It was a great proof of concept with those templates that I got, but those templates need a little bit of work. I should have caught it well before I got this far, but I'm gonna need to remake this wallet. You can see, so I like the black edge trim on the wallet, but now where the cards go, there's no edge trim. The cards fit in here really well, and they got a good spot to grab them. Use some of these old cards that you guys can't steal from me. So cards fit in there well. There's a nice little spot for some cash. If you want to put a couple more cards in there, we can. So that's 4 cards. It could probably hold 2 more cards, so 6 cards total. But it's easy to get the cards out with the little groove here. Obviously they get easier the less cards you have in there. You can get your money out, or your cash money out if you need it. But I'm gonna remake this wallet. You can really see on this one corner, because I cut down, you can see the little corner right there, and I just don't like that. Even when you put a card in here, you can still see that little corner. And it functionally, the wallet works fine. Aesthetically, it doesn't work well, and I don't like it. And I definitely don't like that there's no edge trim on this. I wasn't able to dress it up after I cut these little pieces out. So I'm gonna remake this wallet, and I will probably adjust the templates first and then remake the wallet, so that we don't run into this issue again. But thanks for watching. Thanks for watching me make a wallet that is not going to get used.